Hello and welcome to today's Coffee with Casey, and I am obviously not Casey. I will be your host today. Bryce Burge is my name as we try to get things lined up with today's show. Casey's out sick, so I will be filling in. It'll be still a busy day here on the show as we'll have Beth Cassidy from the Women's Center on in one of our later segments, as well as Superintendent of the Lakeshore and David Horne. But in the meantime, it gives us a chance to get started out here as I try to recreate the magic of what Casey does at the start of the show, which is ultimately a monologue of some sort, which also happens to be one of the weakest aspects of my entire ability as a host, if you've ever heard me call a game. But there's still lots of things going on that is happening, as you can see, as I've got multiple cameras and everything lined up here. We'll try to have this show run fluidly, even though that it is just me running today. This opening segment is going to be brought to you by Gallery Coffee Company, and and this is where things get slow as I try to hit up everything involved. But this segment of Coffee with Casey is brought to you by Gallery Coffee Company. It is the proud home of the Jamadot stage here, this beautiful facility where we film Coffee with Casey every week, and it's home of delicious brews of different teas, coffees, hot chocolate. Stop in today and try some delicious options. All right, so one of the things that I get geeked out about, and I know that this isn't everybody else's cup of tea, is that I have been following the Nobel Prizes. They've been coming out this week, which is a big factor for me. I love seeing what people are able to do, the connectivity of people's research as it comes across in multiple different forms of literature and science and medicine and the impact on pharmaceuticals and all this other kind of stuff. And we've been covering it on the Munising Minute News to start things off. But this morning, after the recording was done, the Nobel Peace Prize was announced. It was given to Maria Ressa and Dmitry Muratov. They're two journalists, one from Russia and one from the Philippines, that got this prize. Always a very interesting thing to see when you have the Nobel Peace Prize come up, because you see a lot of politics kind of start popping into the situation, whether somebody is deserving of it, whether somebody's not deserving of it. It's very interesting across the board when you think about it as a whole. But the full breakdown of it was given to these two journalists, quote, for their effort to safeguard freedom of expression, which is a precondition for democracy and lasting peace. Without getting too far into me just geeking out about the situation, Ressa in the Philippines dealing with Rodrigo Duterte, the dictator from Philippines. There's no other way to say it. To see him pop up and do what he's doing in the Philippines, and to have somebody, from the free press still kind of operating in that way, it's very interesting to see her get it, as well as Muratov, who was heavily criticized by a lot of people for his coverage of the situation in the Ukraine with Russian occupancy and Crimea and all that kind of stuff. So to see how that balances out, it's a very interesting situation across the board. It's something that interests me because you have people like the politicians like Trump or Putin. You have some athletes. You get the Greta Thunbergs in there. So like you get a lot of things there, and the Peace Prize itself is so different than the rest of the other Nobel Prizes, because it's like, hey, we figured out how your hand deals with pain by looking at the skin and how the skin interacts. We figured out how to discover a whole nother kind of catalyst through organic processes. Those aren't necessarily controversial things, but it seems like the Nobel Peace Prize is always one that gets a little bit more controversial as the Nobel Prizes went out. If you get a chance to look up Nobel Prize on Facebook, it's a great opportunity to kind of see that situation as a whole. David Seacott is listening from Brownsburg, Indiana, a place I've been to multiple times, as I'm a original Hoosier. growing up in the region. I don't know if David knows what part of the state that is or not, but excited to see some people from across the country watching us here on Coffee with Casey across the board this entire time. Also, a busy weekend going on across this county with some sporting events. The big Alger County football rivalry part 2 is coming up tomorrow. It's going to be the first time ever that Munising will make the trip to Eben Junction and play Superior Central in football. I'll be on the call for that one. How we decided it was the home team gets their own announcer. And so I typically am the one doing the announcing for Superior Central, so I get the call, which will be cool. It'll be a unique opportunity for me. I'm excited to call Munising because they've got a lot of talent. They rotate well. They're able to stay home and not make silly mistakes. And when you get a team, especially at a high school level, that minimizes their mistakes, it creates a lot of opportunities for you to have fun with the call, because then you get the misdirections, you get the players that are very obviously making an individual standout play, whether they're on the line or something along on the wing or through a passing attempt or something along those lines. It makes it really interesting to call because you can have that development the entire time as these players are doing what you do, and then you add that hometown crowd, the hometown rivalry, the Chatham Eben versus Munising folks. And I know that Alger County is kind of divided by, the Autrain Basin, but it's definitely going to be an interesting situation. A win would almost guarantee a winning record for Superior Central, and Munising needs to win out if they want to have a chance at the playoffs. So a lot on the line here in this one. Also, it's the end of the year for a lot of other sports going on. I know next week we'll have some of the conference matchups for volleyball. That will be here on WQXO as well. I'll have the call on that one. So it should be a lot of fun as all these things kind of balance out. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we return, I'm going to pull up Beth Cassidy. She's the executive director of the Women's Center of Marquette and Alger County. We'll talk with her about a number of things that are going to be very important for the citizens of these counties to understand what resources are available, what kind of opportunities are there, and how people can reach out to the Women's Center and what they do, and understanding that concept is so important when you have resources like that available. That will be Beth Cassidy right after the break. You're joining us here on WQXO Munising, as well as SoundCloud, Spotify, and Facebook Live.
Alger County Communities That Care is a local organization that offers preventative programming addressing teen pregnancy, violence, delinquency, school dropout, substance abuse, depression, and suicide. We are looking for members in our community to help with many of these programs and fundraisers we offer. If you would like to get involved, please contact us at algerctc.org. Alger County United and Thriving, promoting a safe, healthy, and prosperous environment for all youth and adults.
Hutphin's Health Mart welcomes you. Your hometown pharmacy is always here for you. Customer service comes first in all we do. You're gonna find that we love serving you at Hutphin's Health Mart. Service is still our best medicine.
Hutphin Health Mart has been a trusted source to handle your prescriptions for over 80 years. They're always ready to help in a personal way with their experienced and well-trained pharmacy staff. Family-owned and operated. Just people serving people. 119 Elm Avenue in beautiful downtown Munising, with convenient parking at the front or rear entrance.
At Hutphin's Health Mart, service is still our best medicine.
Fall is here, and that means temperatures are dropping. Is your propane tank ready for winter this year? Call Superior Land Gas, because they've been trusted for over 100 years, and this is what they do. Superior Land Gas provides propane for appliances, from your outdoor grill to a 1,000-gallon commercial tank. They have the resources and training for heating your home or office. Call Superior Land Gas in Wetmore to switch or get filled up today at 387-4660.
The Love It for Less sale ends soon at Ashley Home Store. Don't miss your chance to get up to 25% off or buy today and pay 0% interest for 72 months with no minimum purchase. Whether you're updating one room or your entire home, find styles that fit your look and budget. Don't wait. The Love It for Less sale is ending soon. Only at America's #1 furniture and mattress store. Hurry in or visit ashleyhomestore.com to shop and save today. Ashley Home Store. This is home. See store or ashleyhomestore.com for details.
And welcome back to Coffee with Casey right here on 97.7 AM 1400 in Munising, as well as SoundCloud, Spotify, Facebook Live, YouTube, the whole gambit of technology, if you will. Joining me now, we have Beth Cassidy. She's the executive director of the Women's Center, which has a foothold here in Alger County as well as Marquette County and in the Central UP as a whole, just because I know that you guys have so many opportunities. And I'm happy to have you on the show today. Thank you for joining us here on Coffee with Casey.
Well, it's really a pleasure. And anytime we can get over to Munising and discuss the things that we do over here, it's a great opportunity for us. We do have an office in Munising, and I'm not sure everyone knows about that.
Yeah, so that office is in the Parks and Rec building, the old elementary school.
It is. We are right next door to DHHS, across from Alger 3Cs. It's a great building. I think the problem with domestic violence, we have contracts with the state of Michigan for domestic violence and sexual assault, is that particularly in rural areas and in small towns, it's so hard for people to come forward about what's going on. It's often underreported. And so there's a lack of being anonymous. And I really want people to know that they don't have to come into our office. Our advocates are able to meet anyone, anywhere. That's a safe place for both parties. We do what is called remote advocacy. We can meet people at the library. We can meet them somewhere where it's safe for them to meet and talk about what is going on, let them know about what services we do provide to help them get through a difficult situation. We don't tell people what to do. We give them resources to let them make a decision what is best for them.
No, I like the way that you phrase that, to give resources to make the best decision for them. When dealing with this, and I think you hit the nail on the head, which I'm hoping that you can do pretty often being in your position. Yeah. But when you look at the situation of people having to make the decision that's best for them, it's got to be difficult because you're not able to know everything there. It's not like there's a chart like with a doctor where you can run a test and you can get that information. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of personal experience, past trauma, unfamiliarity with the situation as a whole that you have to deal with. And that's got to be difficult. So like when you approach a situation that can be difficult for somebody coming in, what are some of the ways that you approach it so that way you make sure that people feel welcomed and that they're willing and able to approach the situation as clearly as possible so they can make the best possible decision?
Well, I think it often starts with a phone call. We're set up to support anyone 24/7, 365 days a year, and that is by a phone line. We always have someone available live that can provide supportive listening. I think listening is the first step for someone to listen to you and then to say, why don't we, can we arrange for someone to meet with you? Is that possible? We also can do that through texting or through internet. We have those kinds of services available. We can set you up with legal advocacy if you would like, if someone is stalking you, or you would like a personal protection order. That's an avenue that we can provide to you. It's really up to you what you may not know what you need. We can give you all kinds of ideas, like this is something that you may need, but you may not know that. So I think the first step is just listening, having a good ear. And all of our advocates are taught that. They're skilled at doing that. You may need therapy. We do provide free and confidential counseling. We have licensed therapists that can do that for both sexual assault and for domestic violence. They're two very different, separate things. And I'm not sure everyone knows that those resources are available. We have a shelter, an emergency shelter. Unfortunately, that is located in Marquette, because there are a lot of services that go along with that. But we can provide, we can help you find a job. We can help you find housing through MISHDA, things like that. So again, I think it starts with just supportive listening. And then if you need therapy, we can help you get that free through our own services, and then fast, rather than going through pathways or something like that.
Beth Cassidy joining us here on Coffee with Casey on AM 1400 97.7 WQXO and Rome Media. When dealing with some of this stuff, you have to be dedicated. Your staff has to be dedicated. This is definitely a pursuit for the betterment of another, not for the cash. So how does somebody get into either employment or volunteering with the Women's Center and making sure that the Women's Center operates the way that it needs to? Because there's a lot of heavy stuff involved, and you have to be prepared for that. So how does the Women's Center operate kind of from that business side?
We have a really dedicated group of people that work for us. You're right. It takes, I think, a dedication to the cause of helping people. And it's primarily women, but we serve all genders, all races, all political backgrounds, all religions. We do not discriminate based on anything. And, we have a very diverse staff as well. And I think, people that are attracted to what we do, that work for us, tend to just have a very compassionate heart. These are really hard jobs, particularly going through COVID. We've all gone through a lot. We've all had a lot of losses. We did not shut down. Our contracts, we did continue to get paid through the state of Michigan, luckily. If we didn't shut down, if we still provided the shelter and 24/7, and we provided advocacy through telecommunication. So, we do rely on volunteers, and thank you for that question. And we do rely on donations. We are required by law to fund our programs in other ways other than through these state and federal contracts. In fact, more than 1/3 of our funding comes from donations and third-party fundraisers and things like that. So we are always looking for volunteers. We do have a very robust, in Alger County, we have a sexual assault and what we call sexual assault and domestic violence response team. For the first time, we've had one, and it's been in operation for almost 2 years, and we're really proud of that. We have the hospital's support as well, so that if there is a sexual assault or domestic violence incident that is at the hospital or law enforcement, those volunteers are called. We have someone on call at all times, and they can meet the person at the hospital or wherever they are to provide that sort of supportive advocacy. It's just someone who shows up when law enforcement is there, just to to say, gee, I'm here, I'm your friend, to just stand by them and make sure they understand what law enforcement is saying to them, or what a medical practitioner might be taking them through in terms of an examination.
With that kind of stuff, it speaks to me, because in Alger County right now, Marquette County prosecutor's office poached our victims' rights advocate. And
Oh,
and so
they poached the victims' rights advocate.
yeah, so Alger County couldn't pay for a full timer, so they offered full time, and with the economic climate, yeah, it's hard to keep a part-time job when it's that level of expectations and know-how and legal understanding. Like if you got an opportunity to take a full-time job, definitely not against any of that kind of stuff. But it's nice to hear that there are also, I don't want to say like privatized, because I think that's got the wrong kind of connotation, but like away from the actual aspect of a situation where I know that we need to fix that in Alger County. And then you have that advocacy for somebody that pops up. It's nice to hear that there's a catch-all. There's like a safety net for a situation that you should have implemented, but now you've got it through the Women's Center, at least in part. I mean, I know that it won't always deal with like an armed robbery or something like that, but like at the exact same time, to know that there are people that are in need in this county receiving benefits or services is the better term.
We will show up at a court, so we will go with them to a court hearing. We have done that. We have volunteers within Alger County that are willing to go if there is a well, they haven't been doing I'm at loss for words. If there is what I want to say, like a court hearing or whatever, if there's a trial, we have people that go and sit in that trial. And we do that in both counties, Marquette or Alger. Of course, we haven't had that because of COVID. They haven't been doing that. But that is something that we do. I mean, we think having presence in trials, particularly with sexual assault, is very, very important, because we're there to support what we call the survivor. I still call them victims, because I think they have been victims of the system, particularly when it comes to sexual assault and women. What were they wearing? What were you wearing? It often gets down to that kind of portrayal within the court system, unfortunately. We see it happen all the time in this day and age. So
this segment of Coffee with Casey is brought to you by Ashley Home Store, where the Love It or Leave It sale is going on now. You can get 25% off or choose up to 6 years financing. Plus, we have over 200 mattresses in stock and experienced interior design experts to help you. Local, family-owned Ashley Home Store in Marquette and Escanaba. I want to take a quick break to read the liner, so that way I could kind of phrase this a little bit and be careful about how I phrase it. The way that you depicted, victim blaming is still a problem that we have in society. When looking at what the Women's Center can do in terms of like scope and scale, how much do you think the Women's Center and the work that the Women's Center does to help break stereotypes, to help break social trends that are negatively impacting women or other minorities that might be involved with gender and that kind of stuff? How well do you think just being from Marquette and Alger County, you guys can help out with, and what's your thoughts on that in general?
I think we could do better. I think that I've been doing some advocacy training through a group in Minnesota. And I think that when we look back at our movement, which started years ago in the 60s and 70s, and it kind of meshes with racial equity movement and the feminist movement and many other things, I think that we could do better at that. And a lot of that has to do, I think, with merging with the federal government and becoming contracted through that. And they tend to have more restrictions on what you can do and what you can't do. And I think we're starting to see now many domestic violence and sexual assault agencies thinking about breaking away from government contracts and becoming less funded under the government. We're not able to do that right now, but I see that trend coming because I see in many ways our funders wanting us to be a little bit more quiet about certain things. So I think we can do a better job about advocating for systems change. I still don't see the kind of systems change that we've always wanted happening quite yet. And I think that's disappointing that at our day and age, we still see the kind of sexual harassment that we do see towards women. And some of the things that go on, seeing what we do, I think particularly, in the national spotlight right now, the Gabby Patino disappearance and the highlighting of missing, Native American women and women of color missing, that we're seeing highlighted because of the attention to Gabby Patino. Yeah, I think we in hindsight could have done a lot better.
Just a quick rapid fire a couple things that to help people understand what you guys are doing here in Alger County. What kind of overlap do you have with tribal resources in terms of providing for tribal members or anything like that?
We are working a little bit with the tribal centers. They are certainly part of our population that we serve. I do know that certain tribal centers do have their own resources for domestic violence, but it's still a part of the community that we serve. And right now, we are on a campaign to really do outreach in Alger County in terms of setting up partnerships with these agencies and with agencies within Alger County, not just in Munising, but we have some relationships established in Grand Marais, but we really, it's a very rural county, as are most counties in the Upper Peninsula. But we are really going to be in Alger County the next year, trying to set up formal relationships where we want people to know that we serve Alger County, and we really want people to feel like they can reach out to us and that we can, serve them better. I just don't think a lot of people know about our services, or for whatever reason, they're afraid to make that contact. And again, there are a lot of factors. I think there's a transportation factor that we can help out with. We have phone cards we can give to people. We have gas cards available to people. We just have a lot of resources that people may not be aware of.
When looking to connect people to resources, what is the best way, in your opinion, to try and reach out to the people in Alger County and try to connect with the populace out here?
For us,
yes,
we're not sure how that is, and I think this is one step. This is a great step. When I heard, about the connection to being on Row Media, I thought this is a great first step. We do a newsletter. We've been advertising in the Munising Trader. Before that, it was the paper, but not everyone gets that. Media. We do Facebook, and I'm not sure how it is that we can connect with people other than word of mouth. And so anything we can do, anyone that wants to come to us and suggest something, we're all for it. I think we need to connect more with the churches. I think we're at a quandary. Like, how can we do this better? We're open for suggestions, but we know things are going on. We do. The arrests are not anywhere near, I think, what it should be. But again, domestic violence and sexual assault is very much underreported for a variety of reasons.
If you obviously have the microphone, you have the opportunity to speak directly to the people of Alger County and beyond right now. If there is one thing that we didn't talk about yet that you do want to bring up, what would it be in terms of reaching out to people about the Women's Center and about the fight for equality and justice for women?
Well, having been I am a survivor of domestic violence at a very young age in my 20s, and that change doesn't happen overnight. And I think it's hard to ask for help, but there are people willing to help. And, you shouldn't expect change to happen overnight. And I would say to anyone, take it slow, but that there are resources out there. And I'm not sure people know that. But our contracts are through the state of Michigan, and they are for anyone, male, female, transgender, gay, lesbian, free, confidential. There are resources out there to help people escape violence daily. And just to check it out.
Where there are resources, there is hope.
Yes.
And thank you for coming on today. Thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for your leadership as well. It's something that we desperately need out in this area. And we can only be better for having these kind of resources. So thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having us. And it is a very important topic. And, it's one that surfaces often. And sexual assault too. We're seeing many arrests, and unfortunately small children are being affected by that. And it's not anything we like to see, but it's going on. So, I would just encourage people to be as open about it and report it as they can. So thanks a lot. Thank you.
Beth Cassidy joining us here from the Women's Center in Marquette and Alger County. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we've got another great guest coming up. David Horne, the superintendent of the Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore, will join us right here on Coffee with Casey. We'll take a quick break, and we will return here shortly.
Get yourself the cleanest whitefish from the freshest lake in the world at Van Landshut & Sons Fish Market. Van Landshut & Sons has the best fish dip in the area, and they've added 2 new smoked fish sausages to their menu. Try the new garlic smoked sausage or the Cajun smoked sausage to go along with their whitefish smoked sausage. For more information, visit vsifish.com or call 387-3851.
5-star dining isn't just for the weekend. Located inside Roman and Munising, Tracy's Restaurant offers quality service and award-winning meals 5 nights a week. Voted Best New Restaurant in Michigan by BuzzFeed, Tracy's offers fresh Lake Superior whitefish, local beef and craft cocktails, and local beers. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Reservations are highly recommended. Call 387-8000, Tracy's Restaurant in Munising.
Need breakfast in a pinch? A sweet treat to help you continue through the day? What about a technically correct way to tell others you're eating your vegetables? Whatever your reason, Gallery Coffee's new selection of pastries are now available. Enjoy muffins, eclairs, fritters, and even zucchini bread, all pairing well with your favorite hot coffee or iced drink. Check out your new selection of pastries now at Gallery Coffee Company, located on the corner of Elm and Superior in downtown Munising.
Hey, did you get the new chicken Uber pasty from Miner's Pasties yet?
No, I didn't. Does it have the taters?
Yep.
Does it have the rutabaga?
Of course.
Does it have the onions and the carrots?
Yep, those two. It's a true Uber pasty from Miner's with all the right fillings and that perfect flaky crust.
That sounds great. How do I get one?
The same as always, down at Miner's Pasties, open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 201 West Munising Avenue in Munising.
This is the Ashley Home Store in Marquette and Escanaba Munising Minute, powered by Rome Media. No charges will be filed against the state troopers who shot a woman in the Copper Country back in April. The decision came from Attorney General Dana Nessel's office, who said that the shooting was justified. The issue came as a woman was in a multi-day stretch of dangerous behavior and disregarded commands to not go into a house where another person was residing. It was when the woman went into the house that the officers opened fire. A full breakdown of the incident is available on the Attorney General's website. A 63-foot spruce tree near Marinesco has been chosen to be the state's Christmas tree outside the Capitol. The Michigan Department of Technology, Management, and Budget has the task of picking the tree every year and made the announcement yesterday. It will be decorated and lit for the first time on November 19th. It is the 24th Christmas tree to be selected from the UP. Abdul Razak Gurnah won the Nobel Prize in Literature for his work on post-colonial storytelling in Northern Africa. He is the first person from Tanzania to win a Nobel Prize. The Munising Minute is brought to you by Ashley Home Store in Marquette and Escanaba. Love your furniture for less at Ashley Furniture Home Store in Marquette and Escanaba during our Love It for Less sale. Get 25% off or choose up to 6 years financing. Plus, we have over 200 mattresses in stock and experienced interior design experts to help you. Local, family-owned Ashley Home Store in Marquette and Escanaba. For Rome Media, I am Bryce Burge.
The Love It for Less sale ends soon at Ashley Home Store. Don't miss your chance to get up to 25% off or buy today and pay 0% interest for 72 months with no minimum purchase. Whether you're updating one room or your entire home, find styles that fit your look and budget. Don't wait. The Love It for Less sale is ending soon. Only at America's #1 furniture and mattress store. Hurry in or visit ashleyhomestore.com to shop and save today. Ashley Home Store. This is home. See store or ashleyhomestore.com for details.
So that's the email that Susan.
And we went directly to live because we ran out of time on the commercial break.
Sorry.
This is no, that's okay. That's actually not your fault. This is me having my fault. Because when I deal with stuff, usually I'm down here, or we have this guest's son who has helped out all summer long, and we have people that are lined up for everything. I'm going solo, which is why this is such a problem for everybody. And I have my timing off. However, that being said, like the rock star he is, David Horne is immediately headset on, ready to go. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you. It's nice to talk and discuss about stuff because the National Lakeshore is such a crucial impact in everybody's life. Just because of the impact it has on the area. So I guess for not having a pre-interview, why don't we start off with the easiest pitch that I could give you for an opening question and say, how is the park doing? What are things going on at the park that people should be knowing about?
That's a great open-ended question. I appreciate that. We've got, obviously it's been another very busy year. We're always pretty busy with their visitation, and that's always a question as well too. So I brought in updated numbers. These aren't official. It doesn't get official till the end of the year, but right now we're up 17% from where we were last year at this time.
17%.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
The jump last year at the end of the year for 2020 was a 41% increase. So it got really slow. So I don't know where this is going to end up because September was pretty slow. October will also be fairly slow. So we'll see. This might be the year that we actually plateau, maybe even a little bit down, depending on how the rest of the year goes, because it's the calendar year. So, but right now that just says that we had a very busy summer again.
Well, and see, that's the interesting thing, because wasn't some of the big aspects of the numbers from last year was that it sustained through September, and that September and October numbers were pretty high too, comparatively to other years?
Yep, they were big numbers in those months. We've had not as good weather this year. I think that knocked some of it down. So yeah, I just don't know. It might turn out to be a little bit bigger year, but it's not going to be the blowout that we had last year, I think.
When looking at stuff, as I continue to press the graphics buttons here on the display between my multiple cameras here, you have all these people that are coming through. It requires changes to the park. Can you talk a little bit about enumerating what the numbers mean in terms of the physical aspects of the park, erosion concerns, things like trail maintenance, that kind of stuff? Are we seeing it on foot primarily? Is it also ATV traffic? Are we seeing problems at campsites like vandalism or anything like that? What's the difference between a well-used park and a park that is being taken advantage of, kind of deal?
That's a great question. So we 10 years ago, we were getting less than half of the visitation we're getting now. And some of our trailhead parking lots or the beach parking lots are literally, 25 to 50 car parking lots, dirt lots, most of them. And now with 1.2 million people, they instantly fill up, overflow, parking along the roads. And just that volume of people on the trails, like you just alluded to, it widens the trails. We get a lot of what we call social trails. If a couple people go, get off trail for a minute, go to the bathroom or whatever, starts to look like a trail, other people take it. And then those have really kind of exploded. So it becomes, in some areas, a honeycomb of trails through there. So we have a great trail crew that's a constant struggle, trying to keep brushing that, putting brush on top of the trails to try to divert people and knock those back. But it's a constant process. So yeah, there's a lot of impact to the resource that we try to keep up with. We didn't have as much vandalism this year. Last year we had a lot of people that hiked into sites and just left, ice chests, mattresses, camping gear. We didn't have as much of that this year. So in that respect, it's a little bit better. Unfortunately, this was a pretty tough year for significant incidents. We had 3 fatalities this year. So, that's, I guess, the bad luck of the draw. Some years there's more than others.
No, 3 fatalities. There's 3 fatalities in 2 incidents.
Correct. Yeah.
So there's kind of a double up there in points, and so I'm trying not to sound like a jerk, but I have to ask this question. And I think this is really important for people to know because we're starting to see it. It's overlapped with COVID numbers. It's overlapped with politicians and the redistricting and everything else. So like when people say that they have statistics, it's very important to know how they derive those statistics. So when you look at fatalities, when you look at fatality incidents, when you look at your rescue numbers and that kind of stuff, how does the National Lakeshore place its value in how they determine their statistics? Like, is it based on like how many incidents need rescuing? Is it based out on total fatalities per incident? Is there like a calendar time of year that you double check things in on, or is it just kind of like a baseline?
Not sure what you asked, but
sorry, it's a little confusing.
We keep SAR, our search and rescue statistics, incidents statistics, visitation. We keep stats on a lot of things, and we try to manage in response to those. If we're getting, for search and rescue, since we're talking about these, if we get a certain type of rescue or incident that's happening, we'll try to respond to that with the 2 kayakers that died out there. We've responded in the past. We have a lot of information, a lot of just recommendations on how to do that activity safely. All the normal mitigations you would think of: weather, proper equipment, training, experience, all of those things. We try to get that word out, and I think we do a really good job with that. Our interpretation division has developed signs and messaging, and the sign at Miners, big sign that says 3 steps. Here's how you stay alive out there, essentially. So I think that's fairly well established. We tried doing more of that with Leave No Trace because we were getting a lot of damage, just trying to educate people on how to leave a lighter footprint out in the backcountry and in their park. But is that getting towards what question you asked there?
Well, I mean, to a point. And so, I mean, so sometimes like think of it as like baseball, right? Mm-hmm. You can have people that care about walks, you can have people that care about hits, and then you have people that care about whip, walk hits per inning pitched. So like that's one of the things that I always get confused about, because when people want to politicize something, they will attack the statistic as not being legitimate enough. But when you're dealing with statistics that deal with death or personal safety, then you run into a risk of like sounding tactless and stuff like that. And so really when I look at the way that you guys look at statistics, like there's so many ways to derive information from statistics being in place with ratios to each other, but now I'm just kind of becoming a math nerd and trying to apply it to the social side and not necessarily being a good interviewer. So so that's kind of me looking for a way to get off of that because I was not prepared for this. Yeah, Casey's recovering well. He actually commented, I know that you will care about this. So Casey comments, thanks for watching, everybody. Bryce, thanks for stepping in today. As he was out sick this morning, so that's what kind of caused the one-man band going on. With that, and changing things up a little bit, one of the big things that was also coming up this year was fees at the park. Where are we with that situation? Can you give give us an update on that?
We don't do anything fast. We're still moving through the process. The public comment period closed a couple months ago. Those have been evaluated and categorized, and a package has been sent up through our regional office and going back and forth to our Washington office. So there's a lot of review that this has to go through. So we're still in that process. That's about as much update as I have.
Does it get frustrating for you with how slow things move sometimes?
I've been in the Park Service for a long time. It's fairly typical government work. It can get frustrating, but it's actually, in a lot of ways, it's good. So somebody like me can come in, and if you can make a lot of quick changes, that can be very disruptive and not a good thing as well too. So no, it's something that as a government employee, we just get used to just work within the system. Can I go back to the last topic, though? You still don't know where you're heading with the stats, but I do want to put a plug in for our.
Okay, go ahead.
For our the responses to those incidents. You know, we had a guy fall to his death at Miners. There's really it was just a very sad case, and there. But the second one, there was a chance that these folks were alive, and we were really trying to get out there and find them. Very difficult conditions, high waves, night, which is very hard. It was an interagency, the Coast Guard, the Canadian Coast Guard, and us, and there was ground searches. There was a lot of effort put out for those two missing kayakers that night. So I just wanted to put a plug in for the staff and everyone that was involved with that. Very professional, really kind of put it on the line in those risky conditions.
When you look at the power of the park in that sense, the dangers, the risks, and then the fact that it's a high profile tourism destination, that's a weird thing to balance when you think about that kind of stuff. You may mention about some of the aspects of like trying to show a balance there, but and leave no trace and stuff like that. But how often is it that you have to remind people that this is a possibility where injury or even death could potentially happen at the lakeshore?
It's fairly constant, actually, and we have staff that just do that. Our interpretation and education staff tries to contact as many people as they can, get a feel for where they're going and what they're doing, and get a feel for what their experience level is, and then give recommendations to maybe, how about an inland lake during this time of year, or during this time of weather conditions. So it's a constant process. We try to stay on top of that. But we had 1.2 million people come last year, and so it's hard to catch every single person.
I can definitely understand that. David Horne, the superintendent for Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore, with us here on Coffee with Casey. And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about David Horne, the guy. I hear you're in a band.
No.
Casey didn't allude to this enough before things are going on, and so
I was in a garage band in prior parks that I've worked in. Lots of fun. Played really badly often. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but I also saw a video of you. Was it a dulcimer that you made?
Mm-hmm. I did.
All right. So how does one come to create a dulcimer from scratch, and like how did your music background help out in like that kind of aspect?
I've never played one, and but it turns out they're pretty easy to play. It's the fretboard is just the major scale, so there's no bad notes on it. You can play anything on there and just strum away. But it just looked like a fun project. And how I learned how to do it is YouTube, of course. Just watch videos, figure out how to do it. And I had I'm an amateur woodworker, so it was fun to. It was wood bending was a new skill, and then building the wood bending box and the steamer box, and yeah, it consumed a lot of time for a couple months. It was a blast, and it turned out pretty nice.
The reason why I wanted to bring that up, and just kind of like the casual side of things, is because when you come in with a uniform, and you come in with a sense of authority, which you should, and which you do well. It's very easy to lose track of the guy, the individual person. You're still a neighbor to everybody here. You've got a family. Your family's involved in the community. What's it like to be in the position that you hold and still be involved in Munising and in Alger County the way that you and your family are?
It's great. I mean, actually, we love this community. My wife is very involved. And we're involved in scouts. One of my boys just made Eagle Scout. The other one's getting very close, and we've met a lot of other parents and kids, and it's just a great community. It's a wonderful place. It's a beautiful place, and there's just a lot of great people that live here. So, I mean, it's a pretty easy place to live. We love it here.
When kind of comparing Munising to other places that you've lived at in the past, what stands out about Munising as a gateway community compared to other places where you've lived?
People are very engaged. They care about the park a lot, and it's a small town, and everyone knows each other, or everyone knows somebody who knows somebody. I mean, everyone is connected here. Grand Marais and in Munising. I've got folks that work at the park that are born and raised here, and so they literally know everyone and their history. So it's just a great small community, and we're honored to be part of it now, and we feel like we're part of this community now.
Oh, good. I'm glad that you're happy here. I think that means a lot. I mean, if you've got somebody that is coming in from a federal standpoint into a small community, it doesn't always mix. I mean, it's got to be tough. I mean, I know I've got plenty of complaints about federal government all the time.
Yeah,
I think everybody does, and so it's nice for you to come on and be humanized a little bit. So I appreciate that.
I appreciate those questions. A lot of us are pretty transitory too. You tend to have to move around a little bit if you're going to keep moving up in the company. So we came from Atlanta. We're not from Atlanta, but we came from Atlanta. And so I was commuting probably 3 hours a day. And it was brutal. So, I live in Munising, and it takes 5 minutes to get to work, and work is a great location on the beach, at Sandpoint. So yeah, it's been wonderful.
Awesome. Before we let you go, let's talk about what your goals are for the park. I was kind of thinking about this beforehand in my 3 minutes of prep work that I was able to get before the show, given the circumstances. But, with having a national lakeshore where everything is pretty much established, what kind of goals are even possible when looking at the future of the park and your responsibilities and that kind of stuff? What should we expect for the future of the National Lakeshore?
Our management team just got together. We have some general goals that we've established. One of them is just generally speaking, trying to separate pedestrian traffic from vehicle traffic. So Sandpoint, that becomes an issue, especially actually all year round. But even in the winter, ice climbers, sightseers, fishermen, and people driving on the road all share the road. So we're trying to figure out other solutions. The North Country Trail is literally on H58 for a portion of it, for about a mile of it. We're trying to figure out a place to get that off the highway. We're just getting too crowded to share that space. We're trying to break ground on commercial kayaking with just regular, let's go to the beach kind of activities. We have engineers looking at that, and that's from the visitor use management plan. That went through public comment and everything. So we're just trying to execute that plan. But this one's actually really fun. This is not a huge project for us, but we've been calling it the 12-mile cabin. And there's a picture of it.
Yeah, let me see.
Can you get that on the
possibly. Yeah, let me try to add some stuff here. It's going to look weird on the.
Well, if you can, we'll just describe it because there's a before and after. And we've got some very talented carpenters. That's what it looks like.
Should bring up the right screen. There we go.
It's had no maintenance. So we were at a crossroads. Do we just remove it or do we fix it up and rent it out to backpackers? And so here's the after, if you can get that in there.
Yeah.
They're out there still working on it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a completely different
It's amazing, isn't
thought
it?
process. Yeah, I mean, it looks better. The color is stronger. There's actual windows. Amazing work there.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. They've been out there working. Backpackers stop and say, "Oh my gosh, when is this going to be available?" So I think it's going to be a big hit. We'll launch it. It's not going to be ready to go first thing in the spring, but it'll be ready to go next summer. So we're very proud. This will be a really great addition.
So 30 seconds. What's your last pitch to the people of Munising and Alger County watching with us that they should know about the National Lakeshore before you leave us today?
I think they would be very proud of the men and women that work for the park and work to keep this park clean and picked up and repaired, and all the carpentry and education and interpretation and administration. We just have a great team, a great staff that does truly outstanding work, and I think they would all be proud of that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on Coffee with Casey. I apologize for confusing questions, given the circumstances. No, you were great, and I hope that Casey gets a fair shot to talk to you too, because I know that he was really pumped for this interview and just wasn't able to get here in time. So
I hope he's feeling better. But I appreciate the opportunity. So anytime.
Awesome. All right. Well, we will take our final break and then we will return. We will wrap up this week's show of Coffee with Casey. You're watching and listening to Coffee with Casey on AM 1400, 97.7, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and SoundCloud.
Wondering where you can find gently used name brand clothing? Stop by Community Threads in downtown Munising. Choose from brands like Nike, North Face, Express, Patagonia, and more for $15 or less. Brought to you by the Rome Community Foundation, a 501c nonprofit serving the community through arts, culture, music, and adventure. And remember, it doesn't have to be new to be awesome.
Community Threads, now open Wednesday through Saturday, 11 to 4.
When it's time for you to tackle a home project, you go to 41 Lumber, because 41 Lumber has the best products, so your projects will last. Every kind of home project, you name it, 41 Lumber has it. And 41 Lumber has the experience to help you with any questions you have along the way. 41 Lumber even offers complete home and project design services. Your projects start at 41 Lumber, with better products for better results. 41 Lumber, building your dreams one project at a time.
As you're on your way out of town this camping season, make sure to stop at Hillside Party Store East. We have all your camping gear. We also sell live bait, fire starters, and boiled peanuts. Hillside Party Store East is also your home for Case Country Farms, including bacons, brats, brat dogs, breakfast sausage, chorizo, Italian, pork chops, pork steaks, and ham steaks. Hillside Party Store East, located between Connors and Hilltop Road.
As things slowly get back to normal in the Upper Peninsula, the employees at Embers Credit Union are here, ready to serve you. Our frontline staff is ready to safely handle cash and checks and answer questions you have about your account. Our loan team is ready to help out with new or existing loans in person, on the phone, or through email. Our commercial team is ready to assist you with your business loan and the Payment Protection Program. We are always ready to take members to the next level. We're Embers Credit Union. Let's live it up.
Picture this, coming home after a long day of work to a professionally laid, personalized tile shower with rainfall shower heads. Does this sound like something you could get used to? Flynn's Flooring in Wetmore carries much more than the beautiful flooring you've come to expect from this family-owned and operated company. A full-service company that specializes in ceramic tile as well as other floor coverings. The team at Flynn's Flooring is waiting for you to stop in to their showroom in Wetmore or call 906-387-1993.
And welcome back to Coffee with Casey as we wrap up today's show from the Jamadot stage here at Gallery Coffee. I want to thank our guest, Beth Cassidy from the Women's Center in Marquette and Alger counties, as well as Superintendent Dave Horne from Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. As always, we try to give a shout out to the comments that are going on. Carol Horne, which is Dave's wife, says, heart our park employees, love our park employees. Good job, Dave. Debbie Davis was tuning in late, but says, no offense, Casey, but really don't get to see Bryce's mug too often. Well, there's a reason for that. I have a mug for radio and a voice for print. So it doesn't happen very often that I'm on the show, but Casey looks to be getting better. So he will be here for the show next week, as well as Radio Bingo, as we get things lined up. I want to thank our sponsors, as well as Ashley Home Store, Van Landshoots and Sons, Jamadot's Gallery Coffee, as well as all of our other sponsors that you heard throughout the show. If you want to see your ad in the corner or at any point during the show, give us a call, 387-1400. That's how you get a hold of us. And next week, we'll have Casey back to do things correctly. And I'll be back behind the camera where I can do the things that I do well. Until next week, you've been watching Coffee with Casey here on WQXO Munising, AM 1400, 97.7, watching live on Facebook and on YouTube, and listening after the fact on SoundCloud and Spotify. Now back to Good Time Oldies.